Well, obviously, I'm a graduate of Westminster Seminary, and I tell people that's the fourth best decision of my life. By God's grace, number one was Jesus, number two was Cindy, number three was leaving East Carolina, going to Covenant College, and then number four was finishing my theological seminary work with Westminster Seminary. And so I don't know of a better place to go to be a pastor, preacher, teacher, scholar. I don't. Now, there are some other seminaries that I'm supportive of and that are close, but I don't know one better. And I think Westminster is on a new era of effectiveness. They have met, by God's grace, the challenge. I call it the 40 to 80 year challenge. Almost every institution, every church, every denomination has a challenge at the 40 to 80 year of what's going to happen. All you got to do is read the book of Judges, what happens every 40 years. And by God's grace, through good leadership, there's been good leadership from our president, from faculty, hopefully from the board where I participate, I believe that Westminster is on the verge of really doing something significant. So I send everybody here that I can. I always give them a couple of seminaries, and I put Westminster at the top. And here's another reason why. They'll know how to handle the Word of God. They'll know how to preach the Word of God. Well, let me give you another reason. Westminster is on a track, and it needs to be on this track. I just finished doing some tours. I take people on Reformation sites, and I did the following Luther and Calvin. And I went to Strasbourg and Wittenberg and Geneva, and I went to Zurich. I noticed God used great pastor, scholar, preachers, Luther, Zwingli, Butzer. He used, obviously, Calvin. I also noticed how God brought along help to them, so that, Zwingli got his helpmate, and Calvin got Beza, and Luther got Melanchthon, and as I mentioned, Zwingli got Bullinger. And so God put people together, the 2x2 deal. I also noticed they had a revived church. I also noticed the first thing they all did was build a school. One, to multiply leaders in the church and from the church into the world, and secondly, to educate the population. And I believe Westminster is such an academy. But when they educated, they focused on the academy and apprenticeship. And I love the steps that Westminster is taking to reclaim seminary education from merely being a classroom exercise in academic excellence into mentorship and apprenticeship. I think that's crucial. I think it's crucial that we get apprentice and we get the modeling and the mentoring together in the development of our seminary graduates. Here's what it says about Jesus according to Luke. In Acts chapter 1, after writing the Gospel of Luke, he said this. In Acts chapter 1, verse 1, he said, the first volume I wrote, Luke, the Gospel of Luke, Luke says, the first volume I wrote, Theophilus, was all about what Jesus began to do and teach. Not even teach and do and teach. He modeled and then mentored the disciples. He prayed, now teach us to pray. He evangelized, he taught them to evangelize. He did mercy ministry, he taught them to do mercy ministry. And I believe that those steps by Westminster are going to bode well for the quality and effectiveness of the graduates we're turning out in the future. Well, please pray for Briarwood. We want to be effective. God's blessed us. God's been very gracious to us. He's allowed us to have a effective work that reaches Birmingham, to reach the world for Christ. We labor in a wonderful presbytery. Briarwood had the privilege to host the very first PCA General Assembly. Well, now within Briarwood's, within a 10-mile range, there are 15 PCA churches, some wonderful Southern Baptist churches. So God's doing a good work in Birmingham, and I'm looking forward to seeing the gospel impact. Then He's allowed us to be a part of the presbytery and planting churches in Alabama and in North America. And then, of course, we love missions, world missions at Briarwood. So pray that we will be faithful. But I always say, I call it the threefold DNA of an effective church. Pray that Briarwood, beginning with their senior pastor, pray for him, that we will be Spirit-filled, Christ-centered, and gospel-driven, drenched, and saturated. That's what I would ask you to pray. That's what happened to the church at Jerusalem, and they turned the world upside down. I would love to hear somebody say one more time, these people who have turned the world upside down have come here also.